Well, that didn't take long. And I wasn't even wearing a rubber. My God, I was done the second the fanatic raised his hand. Premature ejaculation. I've been impregnated. I am due in 9 months. Call me a 3-pump chump. I'm going to call Bryce. Tony Del Grasso is here. I am Adrian Fedque. My belly's feeling big.
Good, man. Hey, it happens to the best of us. Don't worry. Chin up. You'll get them next time.
There's not going to be a next time, bro. I had to change my pants like 3 or 4 times during the press conference. It was just so beautiful.
Wasn't it? It really was. I mean, that is the type of, I taped that press conference. I have that press conference on my TV for hopefully the rest of the time. I mean, it's there with the Super Bowl parade. That's going away. I never realized how much I wanted to rewatch a press conference before. I've already done it a couple times. It's pretty sad, but that's my life. And yeah, man, this day is gonna go down as one of the best in Philadelphia history. Well, 2 days.
And there was so much exuberation and basically ecstasy because the day before he signed, 99% of Philadelphia thought he was gone. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that because we haven't talked to you yet here on the show. What were your thoughts on those Steve Phillips tweets? Did you think he was gone, or did you think it was kind of strategic?
I'll be honest there. The last 48, 72 hours before the deal was announced, I started to get a little nervous. I never fully thought that that the Phillies weren't still in the driver's seat, but I did kind of drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, and I did think that a Giants or Dodgers offer that was close to the Phillies could get him on the West Coast. Turned out that really wasn't true, and thank God for it.
Yeah. Listen, Scott Boras played that magnificently. He really did. Now, the reason why I was able to read him like a book, I got a girl, Bryce Harper, in me at the moment. And her game, hey, listen, child's play compared to Scott Boras. But, dude, he was good. He was good. What's up, Gianna? What's up?
No, he's the greatest of all time. He played that absolutely brilliantly. They're going to be teaching this tactic and negotiations in business schools across the world. I think in the future because Bryce Harper for a while there, all you heard was he's not getting a deal he wants. He's not getting a deal he wants. And, of course, at the end of the day, he got exactly the deal he wanted. Record-setting deal. He got more than Giancarlo Stanton. And at the end of the day, he wanted that, and he wanted long-term security, and he got it. And he's with a franchise now that's committed to winning with him for the next 13 years.
Yeah, 13 years, $330 million, which is kind of crazy to say that it's actually a bargain when you really think about it. I mean, look at what the Phillies are getting back on. They've gotten the most jersey sales in the last 24 hours of a new athlete that's come to a new city. Beat LeBron whenever he went to South Beach, came back to Cleveland. When he went to L.A., it didn't matter. Bryce Harper's got him beat. Bryce Harper is the man. He is the show. He is a living legend. And listen, he's going to be filling up those seats at Citizens Bank Park, too. So 13 years, $330 million. Phillies are going to be making up that money in like a month.
Yeah, absolutely. I think realistically that the Phillies are going to make up this money over the course of his career and then some. Adding a guy like Bryce Harper already just adds value, period, to the organization. On top of it, like you mentioned, the merchandise sales that are going to skyrocket, ticket sales and whatnot, playoff appearances. So, yeah, absolutely worth every single penny. And like you said, it was crazy because they were able to stretch it out over 13 years. His annual number is only about $26 million, which, yeah, is a ton of money. Don't get me wrong, but it leaves enough for them to still make moves. Obviously, you're going to bring up how you mentioned Mike Trout. Phillies are still roughly $40 million under the luxury tax. which is plenty of money to play with to add another arm or add another piece of the deadline or what have you. So Phillies are actually in a great spot right now and in the future.
Yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to play some clips from the press conference, and we're going to just kind of react to them and do that whole thing. So obviously, I talked about being a three-pump chump, but once I was able to regather myself and get a an actual rubber on, he started talking about Roy Halladay, and unfortunately, I was done again. So here's Bryce Harper talking about Roy Halladay and why he picked the number 3 and not 34.
Of course, I wore 34, but I thought Roy Halladay should be the last one to wear it. He's somebody in this game that, is greater than a lot of guys that have ever played it. Hall of Famer, somebody that played the game the right way, was a great person, and one of the nicest people I've ever met, being able to play across from him in 2012. For me, it's Roy Halladay. He's 34. He's what represents that number in Philly. And when you go in there, you see his name on that flagpole in center field. And, it's something that he should be remembered for.
Such beautiful words, man. Just So yeah, like 10 minutes into the press conference, I had to change my pants 3 times.
Yeah, he definitely gets it. That wasn't the only time in the press conference where he seemed genuine, to be honest, but he also clearly knew the right buttons to press for the Philadelphia media and the Philadelphia
fans.
He's
good. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he and you're gonna play some of the other clips too, where he was just like, "Oh my god," and yeah, it was funny because for a while, the fan base, you had half the fan base that was almost like, "Oh my god, I'm tired of this. If he gets here, I'm gonna be annoyed with him," blah blah, which is so stupid. But you don't even hear those people complain anymore because I think he won everyone over at that press conference.
Well, it's stupid because what these people don't understand, it was Scott Boras. Scott Boras was doing this, and these people are also the same people that were believing the false reports about him not wanting to come to Philadelphia. That was never true at all. I mean, if that was true, he would have done the 3-year opt out. He did a no opt out, none at all. So next clip I'm going to play is the Mike Trout one, and this will be interesting. 2 years from now, Mike Trout, we'll see.
I'm making 26 years, something like that. So I think that's going to be able to bring some other guys in as well to be able to help this organization win. I know there's another guy in about 2 years that comes up off the books. We'll see what happens with them. I mean,
Mike Trout.
Yeah. So to me, that was the most kind of alarm-ringing thing he said the entire press conference, because he's clearly referring to Mike Trout. And to me, that doesn't come out of his mouth unless him and Clentak or him and Middleton or him and whoever in the front office had mentioned to him, hey, if we stretch your money out over 13 years instead of 8 or 9 or 10, your number is going to be low enough where we're going to be able to go out and get another big fish like Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Whoever that may be. But to me, it's become pretty evident that the Phillies are absolutely 100% interested in Trout, and that something might happen here, because you got to read all these tea leaves. Where there's that much smoke, there probably is some fire.
Now, the other question is Mike Trout even going to make it to free agency?
Well, again, if you read what Trout has said just recently, he's not interested in negotiating. He said during the season and during spring training, there was reports out there that the Angels were thinking about giving him a 10-year, $350 million deal. Frankly, I think that's low. I think he's probably going to get something in the 4 range. The Phillies are in a really, really interesting spot here, because the way I think this is going to shake out is there's pretty much going to should be 2 or 3 teams that are actually going to be in the race for Trout, because eventually Angels are going to get to a point where if they can't re-sign him long term, and that's looking more and more unlikely, they're going to have to trade him, because you can't just get nothing back for him. But the only teams that are going to trade for him are going to be teams that are confident they can sign him long term. And there's going to be very, very few teams that are confident they can do that. The Phillies, however, are going to be one of them.
Now, are they going to be able to trade for him, though? Do they have enough ammo to go get him? Now you don't have Sixto Sanchez anymore.
Yeah, and that was one of my problems with trading Sixto Sanchez. Again, the advantage the Phillies do have, though, is like I just said, there's only going to be realistically probably a few teams that are seriously interested. The Yankees, I think, would be one of them. However, their outfield is pretty much set, and they just gave Aaron Hicks a long extension. So when you really, really, really boil it down, it might only be the Phillies and that mystery team here or there that is actually fully gunning for Mike Trout. And if that other team doesn't feel confident they're going to re-sign him, they're going to back out too. So do they have enough? Probably. I mean, you'd probably have to include a Herrera, and then your top handful of prospects. So it wouldn't be just prospects. You'd have to include some young guys as well. But I think all signs are pointing to some way, shape, form, or another. This is gonna shake out.
Yeah. One of the things that was reported during the weeks leading up to the deal was the opt-out thing. It was said that Bryce wanted out after 3 years and the Phillies wanted after 5. Well, it turns out there was no opt-out, and he's going to be here for 13 years. And here's him talking about that.
Nobody in the next 13 years is going to talk about, oh, he's going to the Yankees, he's going here, he's going there. Even through the bumps and bruises, I want to go through that as well. I want to be part of this organization. I don't want to go anywhere else. I want to be part of this family, this Philly nation.
That was one of the things that really resonated within me in the press conference was talking about family. I mean, he used the word family about 50 to 100 times. And he really wants to come to a place where he can literally build a family and stay here. And also just go through the bumps and bruises of, being in an organization and just not wanting to be traded, wanting to stay here. That to me really was cool to see.
Yeah, I think of all the aspects of the deal, that the no opt-outs is probably the most surprising.
Yeah.
I thought definitely there would have been opt-outs in the deal at different points in the contract. Like you said, clearly Harper fell in love with the Middletons, and his wife Kayla Harper, I think, also had a big deal in it. It was interesting. On Saturday, they interviewed Bryce and Kayla separately, and both at different points mentioned the fact that, hey, we might have kids in a couple years, and we're gonna say our kids grew up in Philadelphia. I don't know if they know something we don't, but it clearly shows that they've obviously thought this through long term. It was interesting, when all the LeBron talk happened this past off season, and they were saying, "Oh, LeBron's torn Malvern Prep, and LeBron's torn this school, and blah blah blah." Well, in a few years, there probably is actually going to be Bryce Harper that's going to be torn those schools for his. Yeah. It looks like him and Kayla are going to have some kids pretty soon. So, it's just incredible. And you look at all Philadelphia sports, guys tend to come back to the area and tend to grow their families here in this area for whatever reason. And it looks like the Harpers are going to fall in love too.
Yeah. You know what else got me wet? Sam Hinkie, the father of Philadelphia, reaching out to the new son, wanting to sell away his home.
Yeah.
Oh, Samuel, dude, I only got so much in the chamber, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And not only did Hinkie reach out, but I mean, you saw Allen Iverson reach out. You saw
reach
out. For anybody who's anybody, Brian Dawkins reached out. I mean, a while ago. It was just a flurry of just Philadelphia icons that just with open arms embraced Bryce Harper, the city, and said, "Welcome to Philly. You're gonna absolutely fucking love it here."
Yeah. So I'm just gonna finish off. I got like basically a minute here where he talks about Philadelphia, the winning city. He talks about wanting to win MVPs, but also saying he's not going to have a great year every year, and then also wanting to win a title on Broad Street. Wants to. He didn't know what to call the float. He called it a thingy, but he wants to ride on that thingy on Broad Street.
So this whole city, It's a winning city. It's an amazing city. I think you're always remembered for winning, and a better place to do it than in Philly. You know, I haven't played there yet, but to be able to feel on social media and feel how excited they are, to be able to feel the love from other guys and other teams in the city. Ben Simmons, you know, just guys that have reached out. It's amazing to see. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to win an MVP every single year. Is that my goal? Is that my success to do that? Absolutely, I want to do that every year. But there's down years, be big years, maybe years that are just okay. You know, that's at the end of the day. I want to be able to go to sleep and know that I gave it my all. I was able to bring back a title to the Philadelphia Phillies organization, to Mr. Middleton, to Mrs. Middleton, and to the whole city of Philly. I want to be on Broad Street on a freaking boat or whatever thing, bus, whatever it is, and have a trophy over my head and do, because that's what it's all about.
So is Bryce Harper going to ride a thing down Broad Street at some point within the next 13 years?
Yes, and I'm hoping there's more than one. You know, it was interesting. I'm not sure if it was before or after that comment, but he mentioned Jason Worth and he called it his, big dumb fist or whatever. He was referring to that foam thing that Worth wore to the '08 celebration, and then I think he had it back on when they invited that team back this past year. That's just freaking awesome, because all you had heard this past year was, Jason Worth talking shit on Phillies fans, and he's telling Harper not to go there. And it was clearly the complete opposite of that. He was one of the guys who said, Bryce, you'd love it in Philly. I just think it's awesome that he knows that. He knows that history. And, it's just a great time in Philly right now, because they have all these superstars. And because of social media, all these superstars are just so quickly just, hooking up with each other and becoming it's crazy. I don't know. It's just a great time to be a Philadelphia sports fan.
In less than 5 years, we've transformed from the city of losers to the city of winners. I mean, what was the year when all 4 teams didn't make the playoffs? It was like 2012, 2013, something like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah,
and now all these teams are prospering, except the Flyers. But Flyers, who cares?
Yeah, all these teams have legitimate superstars. And even I know nothing about hockey, but some of my hockey people will tell me that Carter Hart is.
Yeah, I mean, even the Flyers have an emerging superstar. All these superstars are young, in like Embiid, Ben Simmons, Carson Wentz, Carter Hart. I mean, and even Bryce Harper is only 26.
Yeah,
I mean, Carson Wentz is 26, right?
They're all 26 and younger. It's incredible. These guys are going to be here a long time.
Harper's only 20.
Sorry about that. Keep going.
But yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that Harper's going to be 26, because if you look at their starting potential opening day roster, the only guy who's going to be over 30 in that entire roster is Andrew McCutchen. Everyone else is 29, 28. Harper and Hoskins are both 26. It's they have a window right now to win, and I think if they add a couple more pieces, they'll be right there to do it.
Yeah. All right. So here's what I got now. I'm going to pull up the chat. Let's see. Broads, do you think I have all day, Adrian? I guess we didn't start on time. They never start on time. We know this. It's like when your girlfriend says she'll be ready by 4. You know that ain't happening. You're right. You're right, Jonathan Himes. I never.
Yeah, punctuality isn't best for me.
Yeah, I was trying to get the clips together for the press conference for you guys. Come on.
Yeah.
NJ says, I never really watch press conferences. I watched this one beginning to end. Changed my underwear like 4 times. I'm with you, bro. Exactly what I did.
I think that's pretty much the consensus. Generally speaking, a press conference is not something you really care about. You might want to get a couple quotes here and there that you find interesting, but most people don't watch it beginning to end. But everyone watched the Bryce Harper one, and I also think that they timed it properly too, because they were able to have it on a Saturday afternoon, as opposed to a Wednesday morning when everyone's at work.
So somebody thinks Bryce Harper is garbage. See, all right, so that's a point we can talk about right now. So there are people who think that Bryce Harper is garbage because they strictly look at his batting average,
Yeah,
and it's funny to me because he hit 249 last year, but like he had a down year. It was a bad year from Bryce Harper's standpoint, but his OPS was still 16th in the league.
yeah. Bryce. Okay, so Bryce Harper has 184 career home runs right now. There's only 11 guys in history who have had that many at his age. People forget he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16. He's the definition of a prodigy. This guy, he hasn't even he's pretty much only had 2 seasons where he's actually reached his full potential, and I think over the next 6-7 years that's going to be much more closer to his average than some of the so-called down years he's had. This guy is on pure talent. He's at the same level with Embiid and Simmons. I mean, this guy is uber talented. And his numbers will eventually prove that throughout his career. He's just, I think a lot of people are comparing it to Pete Rose and Moses Malone. This isn't even close to those guys. I'm sorry. Pete Rose was 37
These
years
guys
old.
were older, yeah.
And yeah, he was the finishing touch to a team that needed that finishing touch, and he pushed them to make the World Series. Bryce Harper, even compared to Pete Rose, is dramatically more talented than Pete Rose, and he's like you said, much younger. He is a generational type baseball talent. These guys don't come across very often. If you don't think he's good, I'm sorry for you because you don't know anything about baseball, then, frankly.
Well, I don't know why do so many people think he's overrated? Is it because of the whole prodigy thing and they look at his batting average and they just don't that maybe he's not hitting the crazy amount of home runs because he's only hit over 40 like once, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's a combination of, like you said, the batting average, the fact that he has gotten hurt, and some of his home run totals
yeah, that's
were
true.
low. What you'd think, like you just mentioned. I also think it's the fact that he was on a team we hated for a while too, and not only was he on a team we hated, he had the hair and he would do the helmet flips and stuff, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. On top of it, some people will just always bitch and moan about other people's money. They could have signed Babe Ruth to $100 million contract this offseason, and people would have said, "Oh, he's not worth it. He's out of shape." people just want to bitch. So
Yeah.
whatever.
It's fitting that you said Babe Ruth because that's exactly what Bryce Harper's number is. Bryce Ruth or
Yeah.
Babe Harper, whatever you want to call him.
I have a feeling that Hoskins is going to be his Lou Gehrig, so to speak. Because it's still crazy how just overlooked he's been throughout this process and how good he is going to be and how much better those two are going to make each other. They're going to push each other. And obviously just being back-to-back in the lineup are going to help each other too. So, yeah, it's awesome.
I think NJ makes a good point here. He says it's the chosen one jealousy complex, Adrian, and it doesn't help. He's been in the division for so long. He was also a tool as a teenager, as all tools are, or all tools as all teens are. Yeah, I'd say he was a little bit, rubbing people the wrong way back then, especially being on all the covers and stuff. Now, John Fitzpatrick has some questions, so I'll just read off all of his questions. Can we sign Keuchel? Was one of them. Do we need to trade Nick Williams? And he's learning to accept Bryce Harper's uniform number. But if he hits 50 bombs, he will accept it. And don't overlook McCutchen. And he also likes my hat.
Okay, there's a lot to unwrap there. The first question was, should we sign Keuchel? Or can we sign Keuchel? I mean, yeah, they have the money. They absolutely have the money to do that. I would much prefer them to sign Kimbrel instead of Dallas Keuchel. Frankly, I'm not sure how much better Dallas Keuchel is than the potential of like Nick Williams. Not Nick Williams, Pivetta, Velasquez, even Eflin. Really, I would give Kimbrel a 2-year deal. at 15, 20 million a piece and use the money that way. Because Kimbrel makes the bullpen go from potential of being really good to great, whereas I'm not sure Keuchel makes the rotation that much better.
Is it crazy to say that I'm not like crazy about both of them?
No, not at all.
Like I Keuchel hasn't been the same since his Cy Young Award season,
Right.
and Kimbrel has always been kind of overrated to me.
I think Keuchel, if they would sign Keuchel, it could be a very, very similar situation to what's going on with Arrieta right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're also right about Kimbrel. I mean, regular season, he was pretty much his dominant self. But, yeah, he did have a shaky postseason. And some of his numbers have showed slight decline. But, again, even with that slight decline, he's still easily a top 10 reliever in baseball. So, but again, I do get your trepidation on both. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if I'd prefer one, I'd probably say Kimbrel too, because of the bullpen. Really get the bullpen. Like if they really want to be this bullpen driven team,
Me too.
then you go get Kimbrel.
Yeah, and they absolutely do. I mean, imagine Kimbrel, Dominguez, Robertson, those three guys at the back end.
Oh yeah.
Mention, you still have Neshek and Hunter, Arano, Neris could still be lights out at times. So you have a bunch of dudes. I still wish they would have went out and got like an Oliver Perez, so they had another lefty in there, because they still don't really have a lefty that I fully trust in that bullpen. Although maybe that James Page also step up, and we'll see. But yeah, I definitely think they want to be one of those teams that relies on their bullpen a ton, carries an extra guy in the pen. So we'll see.
Jonathan Heim says, "I don't want to take Kimbrel. We need starting pitchers." Now, here's the thing about that: if you build your bullpen, your starting pitchers are only going to have to go 5 innings.
Yeah, and I think realistically, that's all they want out of their starters. Again, like I said, they're probably going to carry an extra guy in the bullpen.
Like, look at what the Brewers are doing. Sorry to cut you off, but like the Brewers, what they did in the postseason is exactly what the Phillies want to be.
It absolutely is exactly what the Phillies want to be. Teams, it's not. I think it's so over talked about how teams are saving guys' arms and they don't want guys to pitch over 5 innings because of their arms and blah blah. It's more so the fact that they don't want the hitters to see a pitcher around
3 times in the lineup. Yeah.
Order is the magic number. The numbers are just drastically different across the board, and if your starter goes 5 innings, then the hitters aren't seeing a guy 3 times in the order. So that's really what's going on there, and that's why teams are playing this bullpen game so much.
Jonathan has rebuttals. He says, "We just cried all year about Gabe taking pitchers out too early, though." Now, here's the thing, though.
I didn't.
Last year, they didn't have David Robertson or maybe potentially Craig Kimbrel. So if you're going to be building this bullpen up, it's a lot easier to take the pitchers out.
And we didn't have a Dominguez till May. And okay, we're not talking about every single case 100% of the time.
Yeah. You're right. Because Gabe Kapler even talked about that. He's like, I learned over the season, like, sometimes I probably should have left Aaron Nola in there.
Yeah.
And, it's something he's still trying to figure out.
Aaron Nola's in his own class. He's different than Arrieta and Pivetta and Velasquez. If he's untouchable the first 2 times in the order, then he is the one case on the roster where you say, all right, give him the 3rd time in the order and let him mow those guys down for a 3rd time and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Philly0024 says, "I would sign Kimbrel over Keuchel. Keuchel kind of washed. He let up most hits this past season."
Keuchel just doesn't miss bats anymore, and he was never a strikeout guy to begin with. It's just gone down and down, and yeah.
I don't think he'd be a good signing. I don't know. Maybe he has a great year and like proves me wrong, but
I mean, if he ends up with a 1-year deal for $8 million, then fine.
Yeah, then that's different. Yeah.
But right. I mean, that at this point it still seems very low for what he'll end up getting. But at this point, who knows? I mean, what's going on right now? These guys might not get even close to what we thought.
It's getting crazy right now. All right. That's going to be it. This show lasts a lot longer than I thought it would be. I said we wouldn't talk about Kimbrel, but we wound up talking about Kimbrel. So
Yeah, well,
whatever. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I did. People brought him up.
Yeah. So that's it. You got any final thoughts?
No, I think we pretty much hit on everything.
All right. People also in the comment section are freaking out because Michael Bennett is on the trade block. It could be just something where they're trying to talk to other teams and just see what his value is. I would not trade our second best pass rusher from this past season. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked that they re-signed Brandon Graham, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I feel like they've probably made a choice, and the choice is Brandon Graham over Michael Bennett.
Yeah, I mean, the way they do the rotation. I mean, I get what you're saying because like it's 12 to 14 million that you're paying for BJ and Bennett is 7 million. You're gonna get Derek Barnett back and stuff, but
yeah.
I would keep Michael Bennett. I wouldn't get too. This is how Roseman getting too cute if he trades Michael Bennett.
I agree, especially considering you're clearly 100% going for it again next year. They got to try to win on Carson Wentz's rookie deal still. I think either way though, they're gonna have to draft a pass rusher in the first couple rounds.
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
I am praying that Ed Oliver falls. That would be amazing.
Oh my God, dude, him and Cox next to each other. That would be. Oh, I mean, that rivals Sue and Donald in LA.
Yeah.
Or I think would anyway. Yeah, they're gonna draft a receiver and a pass rusher early. They have to.
A lot of people talking about this DK Metcalf, even though his three-cone drill sucked.
No. He had a slower three-cone drill than Tom Brady.
Oh, really?
Fact. It's a fact.
He's another Brashad Perriman. He's not a route runner.
Yeah. Albert actually, I think had a great way to put it. Somebody tweeted about him, and then he responded something like, "Yeah, but is he flexible enough to buckle his own seatbelt?" And the obvious answer is no, he's not. So yeah, look like Tarzan, play like Jane. Well, he's one of those guys.
Yeah. So. All right, we're done. Since we're talking football, that means we're not talking baseball anymore. Done. Oh, yeah. We are done. So that's Tony Del Grasso. I'm Adrian Fetcu. Take care. Have yourselves a great day, and make sure you load up on the condoms because you're going to need it this season.